What's up, folks? I'm Odd, by the way. So, the holidays are rolling around again. Last year, I decided to make some free coloring pages, and I figured I'd try to keep up the tradition this year. So, last year I made a dog first, and almost fittingly, I decided to go for cats this time around. This is also suiting to this year in particular because I actually started a personal sketchbook basically devoted to cat studies. I love cats! Hell, I live with them. I live with 3 of them. But my early art journey was all about canids, and I never really got around to cats until I actually, got one. I also found Grimm this summer, and just generally, it feels like a lot of people around me found themselves with cats this year. Very cat-heavy theme for me in particular in 2023. You get a 2-fer here, because I felt like the composition could use more than one cat. They're doing a little nose boop. This is also actually reminiscent of a drawing that I remember doing a long time ago, where I drew 2 cats on a stairwell in a similar pose. I think they were actually kissing, or whatever equivalent I was trying to draw at that point. But nose boops are good. They're also a sign of affection. I was even further inspired by my cats, actually, going for a big floofy kitty with all the fluff and primordial pouch paunch, and a short hair, which my cats, Tulsi and Grimm, respectively, are too. The 3rd cat I live with is called Callie, by the way. She's just a bit more of a family cat than the black cats. They're both my babies, although Grimm is getting way more willing to cuddle other people now. I'm only a little bit jealous. For the next piece, I drew kind of a subversion of expectations last year with the little dragon who wanted a life of royal luxury. So I went for another sort of favorite subversion, a more badass unicorn. It's also closer to the classic heraldic type. I prefer them to just a horse with a horn. Unicorns are pretty formidable creatures in myths. I mean, they're a symbol used while going into war. They were believed to kill lions, and just generally, if you have a giant spear on your head, I think the intention is to use it. They're like a horse with a built-in javelin. For the 3rd piece, I kind of just wound up doing something I like, which I guess was what last year's fox was too, and I guess they're also both forest creatures? This doesn't totally fit with any theme. Initially, I thought of just doing a deer, but then I thought, screw it. It's been a minute since I've drawn a Peryton. They're one of my favorite lesser-known mythical beasts. They're another heraldic creature and are basically just deer with wings. That's it. That's the concept. I just think they're neat. These pages are obviously not very Christmas or even winter themed. Personally, I prefer more versatile gifts, so I just make these in mind of like what I'd like to see in a coloring page. But a flying deer does feel pretty on the nose for the season too. Also, I mean, deer mounts in fantasy are already awesome denizens of nature, but imagine riding on a deer with wings. Which I'm pretty sure was like the whole reason that this creature was created. I don't know if it was ever believed to exist or just kind of a thing in heraldry. It feels like it could be either, honestly. Now I'm just feeling like I missed on the opportunity to draw an Enfield last year when I drew the fox. Oh well, there's always next year. I should probably mention that I accidentally made all of these the wrong size when I first drew them, but I did fix it. CSP doesn't have a pre-made letter paper size, so I always think it's going to be A4 instead, but standard printer paper is just slightly different enough to accidentally cut off a good chunk. Again, it's fixed in the files I'll have linked in the download, but the ones that I color digitally here are still all the wrong size. This is why we test print. But on to coloring. If you want to color these files digitally, this method should work in some degree with any layer-based program, even free ones like Krita and GIMP. I'm going to be showing on CSP, so the setup might be different, but in the Edit tab, you should find Convert Brightness to Opacity or something similar to that in other programs.
This works wonders for scanned traditional lines too, just saying.
It just takes the white and turns it opaque. Then you should be able to add layers below the lines and color just as you would normally. For the kitties, I went for two tabbies, one big orange, kind of simple tabby, and a gray one that apparently is the classic pattern with the larger, more swirly Cinnabon stripes. I don't... That's always what I think of them as. Since I named the characters I colored last year, I'll do it this time. These two are Inkwell, the gray one, and Max, the orange one. Sometimes I do kind of ruin my brain's tendency to latch on to character concepts because I already kind of want to see these two as humans. Which, I mean, this kind of page is great to draw all of your ships as kitties. Next up, we have the unicorn. I did color these pages traditionally after I fixed the size issue, but it's kind of a hassle to record traditional stuff with my current setup, and I'm already running a little behind where I like to be for postings, so you'll see those briefly in their full form at the end. It's interesting to take different approaches to the same kind of lines. For the unicorn, I went a bit more crazy with the color scheme, in both versions actually, and played around with overlays. It's sort of a sunset theme with loads of warm tones. I had basically the entirety of the last Unicorn movie soundtrack in my head as I drew this because of the color scheme and, well, the obvious. This is one of the other reasons that these pages are fun. I feel like even in my mind, there's no one way to color them, so there's some freedom to experiment and create something new. The traditional piece looks totally different, both because of the limitations of the supplies I had, and just because I felt like it. What could their name be? Valor, maybe? I like simple, nebulous concepts as names for mythical creatures like this. The Peryton was definitely the shortest here. I went far more simple with the coloring and just sort of left it flat. I spent a lot of time drawing those feathers, and frankly, I didn't want to spend as much time coloring them. I guess kind of ironically, coloring is my least favorite part of the art process. I don't hate it, but it's just generally the part that I want to get through the quickest, especially digitally. Coloring traditionally is nice, but it's not always my go-to for winding down like I know it is for other people. I'd rather doodle. Coloring my own lines is a bit of a different experience too. I went for a very autumnal vibe here. Maybe this Peryton takes on seasonal changes of their forest. Their name can be Solstice. But those are this year's coloring pages. They're fun to color either way. If you do print, I recommend getting a more solid paper if you want to use like markers. I bought a whole bunch of cardstock relatively cheap and I've been using it for years. It's pretty great marker paper and you can even play friendly with watercolor a bit so long as you tape it down to prevent warping. If you use these, please tag me both so people can know where you got your cool coloring pages and also so I can see it! I want to see! I'm currently the most active over on my Tumblr, but everything is linked together on all of my pages. Same username everywhere. The files should be downloadable through the links that I put down in the description. It's just through Google Drive. And of course, last year's are still accessible through that video and probably through Google Drive if you want to dig through it. But yeah, give this video a like if you liked it, and subscribe to see more fun art stuff in the future. These little gifts are an especially big thanks to everyone who is subscribed. I know numbers are still small on my account, but this is the best and most active interaction I've gotten with any of my art right here on YouTube, so thank you, sincerely. This is all I know how to do for people I appreciate. I drew you something. At that though, have fun, happy holidays, and I'll see y'all next time.